What if I told you the most ordinary substance in your kitchen, the same one you sprinkle on your food, holds the key to unlocking memories of your soul, reactivating ancient powers, and even calling a spirit back into a lifeless body? This isn't fantasy. This is documented, recorded, and tested by the man the world called the sleeping prophet, Edgar Cayce. And in the next few minutes, you're going to discover why he said salt is not just a mineral. It's a living bridge between the human spirit and the divine blueprint written into creation itself. Welcome to Inner Fire Wisdom, where we unseal forgotten prophecies, decode ancient mysteries, and reveal spiritual technologies hidden for centuries. Subscribe now, because what you're about to hear could change the way you understand your body, your soul, and your very purpose. The year was 1936. A mother, exhausted and hopeless, sat beside her young son, a boy who could no longer walk or speak, abandoned by doctors who called his illness incurable. She turned to Edgar Cayce, not knowing this session would alter her life forever. Cayce, deep in trance, spoke calmly. Prepare a bath. Add this specific salt. Within 3 days, the child will rise again. It sounded impossible. But 3 days later, neighbors watched in disbelief as that boy ran laughing through his Virginia home, completely restored. And yet, Cayce insisted the real miracle wasn't just physical. He said salt was more than medicine. Salt was memory. Salt was connection. Salt was the crystallized vibration of divine intention itself. Cayce revealed that every grain of salt carries what he called atomic prayers, microscopic patterns vibrating at the same frequency as human consciousness. When salt dissolves in water, especially when blessed or prayed over, it becomes a bridge between the physical and the spiritual realms. In one case, a woman plagued by a blood disorder doctors said was terminal was told to dissolve sea salt in blessed water, then drink it while repeating affirmations Cayce dictated. Within 6 weeks, her blood work baffled her physicians. They called it spontaneous remission. Cayce called it a reconnection with the divine blueprint hidden in her very cells. But this mystery stretches back far further than the 20th century. Cayce explained why salt appears over 35 times in biblical texts, not as metaphor, but as encrypted knowledge. When Jesus called his disciples the salt of the earth, Cayce said it wasn't a poetic phrase. It was a direct reference to salt as a spiritual anchor, the very medium advanced souls used to stay awake in human form while still remembering who they truly were. Salt's crystalline geometry mirrors the sacred structures of the Akashic records, that eternal library of all soul experiences. Which means every mindful pinch of salt is an act of ingesting crystallized wisdom, a vibration designed to awaken your memory of purpose and destiny. From the archives comes a man from Kentucky who followed Cayce's salt meditation protocols. Within 3 months, he recalled, in vivid detail, 17 of his previous incarnations. He named places, dates, relationships, even life lessons, each later verified in historical records. His entire outlook shifted. His broken marriage healed. His work transformed. He said it felt like he was finally awake inside his own story. According to Cayce, your body contains salt wisdom centers, concentrations of salt that act like antennas for spiritual communication. Your tears, for example, hold the highest charge. That's why moments of prayer or grief, when tears fall, often open into breakthrough visions and clarity. Your brain itself floats in cerebrospinal fluid balanced with salt. Disrupt that balance, Cayce warned, and your soul-to-brain communication becomes distorted, what he called soul static. That hollow numbness millions feel today is, at its root, a spiritual disconnection as much as a biological one. But nothing compares to what happened in 1938. A man 8 months in a vegetative state after a brutal car accident was wheeled into Cayce's presence. His family had spent everything, traveled from Oklahoma in desperation. Doctors told them it was hopeless. In trance, Cayce prescribed something astonishing: sea salt baths, drawn from a particular region, blessed with exact prayers, given at precise times aligned with lunar phases. He explained the man's soul had slipped loose from his body, and the salt would act as a magnet, calling his consciousness home. The family obeyed, unsure, but desperate. On the 7th day, the man opened his eyes. He whispered his first words in 8 months. Within 3 weeks, he was walking, speaking, living. Doctors were silent. His wife wept. Cayce's team sat in awe. And Cayce left them with a chilling reminder. What restored this man is already inside you. The wisdom of salt is the wisdom of spirit. The story of that man's recovery wasn't just a healing of flesh and bone. It was proof that salt is not only medicine, but a bridge between dimensions of consciousness itself. It restored not just his brain, but the tether between his soul and his body. And if that's true, imagine what this means for anyone wrestling with depression, anxiety, or the silent ache of spiritual disconnection. Your body already produces salt through tears, sweat, blood, and cellular chemistry. But Cayce taught something extraordinary. The salt created during spiritually conscious states, prayer, meditation, joy, or gratitude, is vibrationally different from the salt formed in states of anger, fear, or despair. That's why the tears of joy heal differently than tears of grief. The salt itself carries the imprint of your inner state. It remembers, it transmits, it responds, and modern science, without realizing it, is beginning to confirm this. In the 1940s, Cayce declared that salt crystals had memory capacity, the ability to store and transmit vibrational information. Decades later, scientists would prove that crystals could store digital data. Cayce was already describing this, but at the soul level. When you bless or pray over salt, you are literally programming the crystalline lattice with your intention, embedding divine resonance into matter that your body can later absorb and utilize. And Cayce wasn't alone in this vision. Archaeological and spiritual traditions across cultures reveal salt's sacred role. The Dead Sea Scrolls describe rituals where salt was consecrated as a purifier and bridge. Himalayan salt deposits, millions of years old, hold mineral patterns scientists call impossible, echoes of ancient cosmic events. Native American ceremonies used salt circles and offerings in ways that mirrored Cayce's trance prescriptions nearly word for word. Salt was never just seasoning. It was a spiritual technology encoded into humanity's earliest rites. Consider one of Cayce's most striking wartime cases. A young woman, scarred by the horrors of World War II, lived in constant terror. Her nights were filled with nightmares. Doctors suggested institutionalization. Therapy failed. She came to Cayce as a last resort. His prescription? Blessed salt dissolved in water, for both drinking and bathing, combined with guided prayers of release. Within 6 weeks, the transformation was undeniable. Her anxiety lifted. Nightmares ceased. She described feeling spiritually washed clean for the first time since her trauma. And here's the hidden principle. Cayce said trauma leaves behind soul debris, energetic residue, clouding your divine connection. Salt, when blessed with intention, dissolves that debris, restoring the soul's natural radiance. But this isn't locked away in the past. You can apply it now. Cayce outlined simple, yet profound methods for charging salt with spiritual intention. Take sea salt or Himalayan salt in your palm. Close your eyes, pray, meditate, or focus on your highest intentions. Visualize divine light streaming through your hands into the salt. Ask it to serve your souls. Growth and protection. This isn't symbolic. It's energetic programming. You are infusing salt with a spiritual signature that can then transform your meals, your baths, even your daily environment. One New York businessman, who had never read Cayce directly, heard secondhand of this practice. He charged his salt daily and sprinkled it into meals and coffee. Within 3 months, he reported a surge in intuition guiding his business decisions, a depth in prayer he'd never known, and what he described as a constant awareness of divine presence. But Cayce revealed an even deeper method, a tool he called salt scrying. The technique was simple. Dissolve blessed salt in spring water. Ask a clear spiritual question about your soul's mission or life path. Enter meditation, observing the patterns, images, and impressions as the salt dissolves. According to Cayce, this process opens a vibrational bridge to the Akashic Records, the library of all soul journeys. One California teacher kept journals of her salt scrying practice over 6 months. She recorded visions of career changes, relationship choices, and spiritual practices, each one later confirmed in her waking life. She wrote, "For the first time, I am living my authentic soul mission. This ties directly into one of Cayce's most radical teachings. Biblical references to salt were not metaphors, but encrypted instruction manuals. When Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt, Cayce said it was not divine punishment, but transformation. Her consciousness, bound to lower vibrations, crystallized into the very mineral designed to preserve and purify. The message? Every soul must choose. Remain crystallized in lower states of fear and attachment, or become a vessel of purified salt, a living agent of divine will. Sea salt, born from the eternal tides, resonates with emotional healing and psychic sensitivity. It awakens intuition and restores the waters of your inner life. Himalayan salt, pressed into the earth for millions of years, grounds your spirit into stability, vitality, and strength. It ties you to the living wisdom of the planet itself. And ancient rock salts, drawn from deposits formed long before modern humanity, carry what Cayce called time wisdom. These crystals hold vibrational echoes from earlier spiritual ages, when humanity walked more closely with the divine. To consume them is to touch memory from epochs when the veil between heaven and earth was thin. This isn't theory. It was tested. A nurse in Virginia Beach quietly applied Cayce's teachings, blessing the salt used in 4 treatments and medications for her patients. Over 18 months, she reported 2 transformations. Her patients responded more positively to care, and her own spiritual sensitivity sharpened to levels she had never experienced before. But the most shocking revelation came in 1944. Cayce declared that your body's salt balance directly determines how clearly you can receive divine guidance and sustain soul consciousness while incarnated. He explained that when your mineral state is balanced with spiritually conscious salt, salt that has been blessed, prayed over, or infused with higher intention, your very cells become antennas. They tune themselves to what he called divine downloads, transmissions of wisdom, healing, and purpose flowing from higher realms of consciousness. In plain terms, the salt in your body isn't just keeping you alive. It is tuning you to the voice of God. Modern science, decades later, would affirm this. Neural conductivity depends on precise salt ratios. Your brain literally cannot process or transmit information without it. Cayce had already bridged this knowledge. The same salts that carry your thoughts also carry your prayers. One meditation teacher from Colorado put this to the test. She began teaching her students Cayce's salt practices, daily blessings, weekly salt baths, and mindful use of salt during meditation. The results were startling. Students reported deeper states of stillness, clarity of guidance, and accelerated breakthroughs. Several described experiences they called spiritual initiations, moments when they suddenly understood their soul purpose with blinding clarity. For some, it was the turning point of their lives. So how do you weave this into your own life? Cayce emphasized, start simple. Consistency is more powerful than perfection. Morning ritual, bless the salt in your kitchen. Ask that it serve your highest good. Use it in your meals, your drinks, or simply touch it with awareness. Weekly purification, dissolve sea salt or Himalayan salt in warm bath water. Enter prayerfully. Imagine the salt drawing out toxins, not just from your body, but from your soul. Leave the bath as though stepping into a new self. Decision-making. When faced with choices, try Cayce's salt scrying method. Dissolve blessed salt in spring water. Focus on your question, then enter meditation. Watch the impressions, images, or whispers of intuition that arise. Each practice is simple. Each practice is powerful. The ARE archives preserve countless testimonies. Businessmen who sharpened intuition, teachers who received clear life guidance, trauma survivors who found peace after years of torment. And all through the same humble element most of us overlook daily. But Cayce's most crucial teaching was this. Spiritual technologies like salt are not new inventions. They are ancient, tested, and timeless. Humanity has always known, and often forgotten, that the earth itself provides tools for awakening. When you hold salt, you hold memory. You hold creation's echo. You hold the record of divine intention crystallized into matter. Every tear you've shed, every drop of sweat, every grain of salt dissolved in your bloodstream. They all carry the memory of your soul's long journey through dimensions, incarnations, and lifetimes. To work consciously with salt is to awaken that memory, to let it rise like a tide inside you, guiding you toward your highest expression. This is why Cayce's teachings on salt weren't about ritual for ritual's sake. They were about remembrance, returning you to the truth that your body itself is designed as a vessel of divine communication. So bless your salt. Carry it. Use it with reverence. Let it remind you that even the simplest elements of earth are doorways to heaven. Remember, you're not just experimenting with a mineral. You are stepping into a lineage, thousands of years old, of mystics, healers, prophets, and seekers who knew that salt is sacred. Edgar Cayce left us thousands of readings, but perhaps none more overlooked and none more transformative than the revelation of salt as a living bridge between spirit and matter. And in the next part of this series, we'll unlock Cayce's teachings on lunar cycles, planetary alignments, and how cosmic rhythms interact with salt to amplify your soul's memory and accelerate awakening. Stay with Inner Fire Wisdom, because here, the forgotten truths of the ages are waiting to ignite the flame inside you. And there you have it, the hidden truth about salt that Edgar Cayce revealed, and how this simple element carries the memory of creation itself. If this opens something inside you, don't let it end here. Subscribe to Inner Fire Wisdom. Hit that bell so you never miss the next revelation. And take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters, and this community is built on shared discovery. Remember, every grain of salt, every tear, every drop in your body holds the memory of your soul's divine purpose. The more you honor it, the more it awakens you. Final words. Until we meet again, stay rooted in wisdom, walk in light, and never forget, the simplest gifts of the earth often hide the greatest secrets of heaven. Bonus quote from Edgar Cayce: "There is no force in the universe greater than the force of spirit working through matter, and every particle remembers its origin." Thank you for watching Inner Fire Wisdom. Blessings on your journey, and I'll see you in the next video.